Good morning. And good morning to Arai Sensei once again. This is our third episode, and I'm so very pleased to have you once again with us, Mineko-san, because we have had really great feedback about the sessions and also the seminars that we're going to deliver in March, on March 12th and March 14th with you. And the seminars are going to be about learning Japanese and some basic tips about business culture, especially if you're a new person, a new professional in Japan, or coming to Japan, basically planning to come to Japan. So it's really a pleasure to be working with Mineko-san, to everybody who hasn't watched us before or heard from us as well. So just I want to say a few things about her. You probably know her much better than I do, but still, she has a 20 years experience of teaching Japanese with huge companies out of Japan and in Japan as well. And one thing that I want you to know about Arai Sensei is that she has been pronounced the best tutor online, Japanese language tutor online, by Vida Lingua, and she's also the founder of Arai Academy of Japanese Studies. And today we're going to continue the topic about why it is so important to speak Japanese, of course, some Japanese, and also know how to win trust in Japan, how to win friends, if you wish. And the topic, of course, of today's session is why learning Japanese feels so different. It's kind of an interesting topic because I believe that everybody who has gone through the process of learning the language at some point has thought that it's maybe not so difficult, but it's really different, and we have to find a way to make it fit into our systems of learning other Indo-European languages, let's say. So, but before we move into that, so Arai Sensei, thank you so much, and welcome to the podcast today again.
Thank you very much, Maya-san, too. I'm always happy to be here to discuss with lots of interesting topics with you. So thank you very much for inviting me today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, yes. And now let's start straight away because I can say from my personal experience when I came to Japan, I really struggled with learning the language. Of course, it was because, in a part, because I had difficulty or I didn't know anything about the culture. And at the same time, I didn't know much about how the Japanese language or the Japanese grammar is structured, right? And then in the West, when before I came to Japan, I studied other languages. I studied French and Russian and Spanish in addition to English. But interestingly, all the grammar systems and the ways of teaching those languages are very similar, right? We start with the first person, I, you, he or she, and then we, you, they. So, and also the conjugation of the verbs follow that pattern more or less. And when we learn the grammatical tenses as well, we follow that pattern once again to memorize how we can use the verbs and then how we, in addition, to construct in sentences and so on. But with Japanese, it was so very different.
I totally agree with you because when I was studying English, I felt exactly the same. Of course, it was the first, second language to
Right.
learn. Foreign language, none of other foreign languages are similar to Japanese language.
Right.
Even Korean, when I just listen, I don't understand anything what they say. But I heard, for example, in European languages, Italian and Spanish people can understand each other without learning any, expressions.
Right.
So it was
Yes.
an experience for me, and I can understand that those foreigners who want to learn Japanese have the same feeling that I had when I was learning English. And
If I may, yes, if I may add something, maybe. So I hear friends here in Japan saying that Kansai Ben is very different from Kanto Ben, but I still think that you can understand each other quite well, right? So
yes, yes, I can understand
maybe,
it. Yeah,
but
because it's
may-
somehow similar. Yeah.
right,
At
somehow
least yeah, the
similar.
same language is similar. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Something like that. That is more like maybe I guess Italian and Spanish or maybe other European languages. For example, British people can understand some French words, something like that.
Right. Yes.
Mm,
Yeah.
easier to understand each other between European people, but Japanese, even just one word, they cannot guess anything. So that is the
Indeed.
difference. And so today I want to share the learning and a learning environment because these are so important when you want to improve everything. For example, it's not only about language, but like, for example, cultural understanding. Because
Right.
originally our first episode started from global communication skills. And then
Yeah.
that is all about how we learn each other,
Yes.
how we can improve our way of thinking in order to communicate better. And between Europeans, they developed that through the history
Yes.
because they are so small countries are next with each other, but they have
Mm.
different languages, different way of thinking, and then they had to understand each other better than
Yes.
Japanese people through the history. Because
Right.
we didn't have anybody next to Japan,
Hmm.
and yes, we have neighbor countries, but like China and then Russian, these are big countries, so it's different from, for
Yeah.
example, small island, isolated island UK. So
Hmm.
UK is still an island, but so close to France, for example. I heard people can swim across the not English Channel. Eh,
Oh
what is the
yes.
name?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's the well. That's the channel. That's
Dover Channel. I think
the
Dover
channel.
Channel. Yes,
Yes, between
people can
France and
swim
Britain.
across. But yeah, from Japan, nobody can swim across somewhere. So the situation,
Right.
the environment is different. So yes, even UK people had to be able to understand different culture, different languages, and then they are more open-minded.
Yeah.
So the first, this is the foundation of learning first of all, because by learning we always change.
Yeah. I like how you're saying it because yes, we change through learning. Yes.
Yes. So, for
Yeah.
example, when I have learning session every month, so those Japanese people who attended this, and then English or other, foreigners who attend this,
Yeah.
always change their mind or way of thinking
Mm.
after the 1 hour session. They say
Yes.
that they learned a lot and it's changed their way of thinking after 1 hour.
Right. Just
So
1 hour.
language,
Yeah.
just one. So language lessons are the same. Just after one lesson, I want my students to feel the difference after that.
Yeah.
And then so that's why learning and a learning environment are so important for us to be a different version of ourselves every single day.
Yeah, you say a different version, and I know that what I'm going to say is probably already a commonplace, but I like to believe that after these sessions, because I learned to learn to continue learning, and when I attend such sessions, I think that I have become a better, just a tiny bit better person after such a session, because yeah, it's really difficult, and we are seeing it even nowadays. One might think that with the globalization of economy and geopolitics and well, many things, education as well, people are generally more open to new ideas, other ways of thinking, and so on. You would think that, but
Mm.
it doesn't seem to be the case nowadays, right? So
Ah,
I
yes.
think that, yes, well, seminars like these and podcasts like these definitely are necessary. Learning languages, learning about other cultures as well. So I'm so very grateful once again. Forgive me for repeating myself, but I cannot tell you how happy I am about our collaboration, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Because so when people get more narrow-minded,
Mhm.
we need more energy to be open to differences.
Mhm.
Mm.
Right.
And then it's important to balance it. And
Yes.
we need that kind of resource. And then nowadays, yes, digital tools are really helpful. Sometimes they get only the same informations every day, so get more narrow-minded, maybe.
Right.
but, but on the other hand, we can access more materials, more information if we
Yes.
want to. So it's also helpful. Like we want to release this kind of information more and more to more people. Like our seminars coming in March.
Yes.
Yes. So hopefully, yeah, people will learn more about different cultures and how we can change to
Yeah.
better world. Mm.
Yes, because I have also noticed that when we open our minds and when
Mm.
we learn about other ways, other people's way of doing things, right, and other cultures, when we learn other languages, life becomes more enjoyable. And I can say that personally, when I came to Japan, I didn't speak any Japanese. I have said this before. So I studied the language here after coming to Japan because in the beginning, I didn't have the time. I never thought that I would come, to this part of the world at all. So even to me, it was a big surprise that I met my husband and fell in love, and eventually we decided to move here. But it happened within a short period of time. So studying the language was really not an option because I was working at the time as well and studying as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that before I learned the language and before I started understanding the culture, I had really hard time in Japan. And I struggled with a lot of things. It was like I was swimming against the current. And that current was so, so strong that I was not progressing. I was being pushed back. you
Oh
know
no.
so, yes. And then when I eventually learned the language and I was able to make many more friends, not only friends who spoke English, but even those who didn't speak English or any other foreign languages, I was able to make friends with them. I was able to find a job. And I mean, my world expanded so much because of
Oh,
those two things, studying the language, learning how to communicate in Japanese, learning how to build trust here with the local people, and learning how to work, if you wish, because our working styles are also very different in Japan and in the West, right? So I
yes.
cannot repeat it, cannot say it often enough that it is so important to learn at least some basic expressions in the beginning and learn why things happen the way they do here in Japan, right? So,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. For example, my students who prepared a few Japanese, not only a few, but some basic Japanese phrases when they visited Japan for their holiday or maybe business trip for the first time.
yeah,
Because fortunately, they were aware of the importance of speaking some Japanese for the Japanese people they meet in Japan.
yeah, yeah,
So they
right,
prepared some expressions when they came here, before they came here. So
yeah,
then their experience was totally different from those foreigners who spoke only English. And
right,
then, so they said their experience was totally different. They created great relationship, not strong relationship yet because it was
yeah,
just the first contact, but their trust building or deep connection with Japanese people.
Yes.
made their experience so different,
Yeah.
both business or holiday trip. So I was so amazed what they said to me, because they said those other tourists who only spoke English to Japanese people didn't have the same experience. Then the staff attitude changed dramatically when they behaved like Japanese people. My students behaved like Japanese people, even just basic Japanese phrases.
Yeah.
But it touched the Japanese heart, and then Japanese people changed their attitude to my students, and then they
Yes.
noticed that it was so different
Yeah.
from other, other tourists.
Yes. If you don't mind me chiming in here, is that, as you said, Japanese people love to see that when we come to the country, even as tourists, but even more so as business professionals, right? They love to see we have made the effort to learn even some very basic things, expressions and ways of behaving here and so on. Because in Japanese culture, well, traditionally it comes from history, of course, and how the Japanese evolved as a nation and as a people as well. But effort in Japan is very important. It is usually regarded very highly. If somebody makes an effort to learn, then the people around them, they show even much more respect to that person, right? And I think that,
Exactly. Mm.
right, yes, and of course, as you said, that also builds trust with the Japanese people who see that. They show even more respect than in the beginning. And that's why you don't have to speak that much when you come here for the first couple of times, right? But if you
Exactly.
learn those basic expressions and people see that you're willing to meet them at least, well, at some point on the way, even if it is not yet halfway through, they will they will just reward that effort in a beautiful way.
Yes. Yes. For example, in Japan, because of group-oriented culture, so respect is so important, first of
Mhm.
all. And how you gain respect from Japanese people is making an effort.
Right. Yeah.
And just speaking their language is always respectful, isn't it, in any countries, but especially in Japan.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't need to be fluent, first of all, to do it.
Hmm.
Just a few words, greetings at, for example, at the first meeting with in business situation, or greeting at a hotel receptionist, and whatever you greet. Then,
Yeah.
if it's Japanese words and then just show respect like this, and then Japanese people really feel respected, and then they respect you as
In return.
and then this great bond is created instantly. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Mm. So
I
this
also,
effort is not tremendous because you can just remember some phrase, but just by doing this effort. Mhm.
yeah, oh, please go ahead. Yeah.
Mhm. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me? I think
Yes,
that
I
there
can
is,
hear you.
yes,
Mm.
I can hear you. I can see you too. Please continue.
Okay. So this effort doesn't take a lot of effort, but just learning some phrases and then use it with Japanese people. And it's not only phrases, but how you behave. Like I always teach, bowing is important, and then the reason why bowing is important is because we just lower ourselves and then
Mm-hmm.
higher others. This is our body language, and then this shows respect each other too.
Yes.
We both do, but and by doing this, you can create strong trust. How Japanese people create trust is different ways from other nations, and then once you understand how to do it by Japanese ways, and it's a lot easier to make relationship, trust building, And this create great success for everything, like for holiday trip or business trip, or just working with Japanese people for long term. And then this first contact is, I think, the key
Right.
mm, to
Yes.
gain respect and trust with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to say, as a foreigner who came to Japan without knowing anything about the
Mm,
country, almost anything, let's say, and also not knowing the language. Nowadays, I like to say that in Japan, respect is given, right? From the very beginning, you see that respect, but
mm,
trust has to be won, just to your point. And I think that in the West, we often hear people say we have to win respect,
mm.
right? So it's the
Yes.
other way around. So I cannot talk about trust because I still have to do some research about trust, winning trust in the West. But we do have the expression, I need to win respect, or he won my respect, right? And then in Japan, it's different because people here give you their respect from the very beginning. But gradually, as you try to meet them halfway through, that respect increases and you win their trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, the first step, first contact is so important. So
Yeah.
because when Japanese people think, I cannot trust this person from the first meeting,
Mm.
it's hard to gain trust after that.
Yeah. It is very hard.
Takes
Yeah.
time to get the game back again, but no, get the trust back again. But once you lose it from the first
Mm.
step, but when the first meeting successfully meet the trust, and then you can increase the trust and then respect and
Mm.
much faster and accelerated. Like
Right.
my student who prepared his Japanese and how to behave with Japanese new clients. So it
Mm.
was his first time visited Japan. He's never met Japanese people and talked to Japanese people in the past.
Right.
He wanted to be successful, so he contacted me and I took my lessons and prepared for it. And he was a complete beginner, but he managed to speak some Japanese in an
Yes.
effective way.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
selected certain phrases to impress Japanese people, and
Yeah.
he behaved like that. And yeah, it was a great success. So he received a contract, and then his relationship with this new client still keep going, and then they're developing their business together.
Right.
So he doesn't need to be fluent. He just he just needed to speak some Japanese phrases and then behave like Japanese people and to create strong bond.
Yes.
The first contact was really important. And then somehow he knew that. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. I have
Yeah.
seen that dynamic as well in my work before because even when we worked with foreign partners back then, and when somebody says just a few expressions like "ohayo gozaimasu," "honjitsu arigatou gozaimasu," or something like this, these are very very limited sentences, but still the attitude changed, and I could see how my Japanese colleagues' attitude changed, and
Mm,
people softening, right? And immediately I could see how, or I could feel their energy, but they could relax. It's
yes.
really interesting to feel that in a meeting room. And of course, there were interpreters sometimes, or sometimes my colleagues would speak in English to communicate with
Mm,
the partners who came. But that initial feeling of their, that relax, that the
exactly.
moment of relaxation was really there every time somebody said something even small in Japanese. So Yeah, I mean, I cannot agree more with you on this because I have seen it time and time again. So,
Yes,
yeah,
I think yeah, for example, in European countries, I think first impression is important. Everyone says that, but in Japan, the first impression not just showing how you look like, but the contact, relationship, how they create the relationship from the first contact is like first impression for Japanese
yeah,
people. If you say some Japanese phrases and then bow and how you behave, like when you take a seat at the meeting room or everything, just
yes,
small thing. The
yeah,
first impression is a great start.
yes, it is indeed.
Everything.
Yes,
Instantly, Japanese people can sense it. Like we can trust this person.
yes. And I want to say one thing here that we talk about how important it is to learn some expressions in the native language here, the local language, and how important it is also to adjust somewhat a little bit your behavior or your attitude, right, when you meet Japanese people. And I also want to say that this is true in every country. So as a Bulgarian, if I go to the United States, I'll do my best to adjust to how things are done there and how people communicate with each other. So we're not trying to say that Japan is an exceptional place, right? Not so, but if you do business with Japanese companies, right, and have Japanese counterparts or partners or customers, it does help a lot. And it goes the other way around as well. So if you, for example, if a Japanese person meets you in your own country, of course, they will be much better off to adjust their expressions, their language and behaviors to your own culture. So I don't want us to be misunderstood that we're trying to put the Japanese on pedestal here. But if indeed, if you're coming here as a professional for business, then I believe that it's really helpful to remember um, what we have been talking about in this podcast
Yes,
and
yes,
previous.
exactly. Yes, of course, Japanese people should understand Western ways of thinking and attitude as well. And then, if they can speak some basic English, it will be helpful as well for trust
Yes,
building. But
yes,
yes, what we mean is that Japanese people really, really appreciate if you speak some Japanese,
yes,
much more than Europeans do, for example. So that is the key. So this effort is so much more appreciated.
yeah. Yes, I also think that another observation I want to share here is that the Japanese are very aware of how difficult their language is to non-Japanese speakers.
Mm, mm,
And again, I am not saying that they're aware why the language is difficult, right? Because it's not so much about the culture. It's more about the levels of politeness, the situational use of different phrases, and let's say communication styles and everything. But the thing is that the Japanese are very, very aware of how difficult it is for us to learn the language, and even more so if we demonstrate a willingness to learn it even just a little bit, then it makes them all the more happier.
yes,
So,
exactly. So, for example, for Japanese people, it's so difficult to learn another language.
yeah,
For
yeah,
example, English or maybe even Korean, because I heard Korean grammar is similar to Japanese grammar, but each expressions are totally different. We have to memorize everything. We cannot guess from what they say.
mm,
And then the writing system is different too. But so that's why Japanese people think learning even just some phrases is so hard. So
mhm,
if you make this effort with Japanese language, we are so happy about it. And then
right,
feel respected.
Mhm.
And then, as I said, showing respect is so important in Japan because of group-oriented culture. We should, mutually respect each other. This is our culture. So if you do this to Japanese people, instantly you're welcomed in this
Yes.
society or group.
Yeah.
You become a part of group strongly, so
Yes.
effectively.
It is, yes. And I also want to say that it is a two-way street because when I worked in the travel and tourism industry, I worked in the outbound travel industry. I cannot tell you how many times people have approached me and also colleagues that were going on business trips overseas to Italy, France, Britain, the United States, and everything. And they would come to me and say, Maya-san, I want you to tell me what I should learn before I go there. What is good to learn so that when I communicate with my colleagues there, what will help me improve that business relationship? This has happened hundreds of times. So the Japanese, because they do it themselves, they appreciate it when other people do it, do so before they come to Japan. So again, this is a two-way street, and yeah, I think that we just cannot say it often enough, right? To do your homework before, yes, before you come to Japan or before you go to another country as well. Um, yeah, Mineko-san, we have Andrew, who is he's a regular listener, and he wrote, 私は日本語を勉強しています in beautiful Japanese.
Yes,
Andrew, thank you
嬉しいです。
so much for this. Yes.
ありがとうございます。Thank you so much.
Mm,
Yes, so yes, like I felt now, I really feel appreciated about, people learning Japanese
mhm. Yeah,
because especially Japanese language is only usable in Japan or with Japanese people
yeah,
compared to
indeed.
English language. So they study Japanese. Andrew-san just study Japanese only for Japanese people or using it in Japan, and that is very impressive for me.
Yeah.
ありがとうございます。はい。
Yeah, thank
うん。
you for that. But I also wanted to say that for many non-Japanese born people, it's really difficult to make sense of the grammar, right? Because once again, the grammatical systems are different and the ways they are taught
う
are different.
ん。
So,
Yes, yes. うん。
and
Yes, today.
you, yeah, you have developed your own way of teaching Japanese to non-native Japanese people, right? So,
Yes, because of my terrible experience of learning English as a Japanese native speaker,
mhm,
the education system was not helpful because my English teachers couldn't speak English and
right,
they taught only grammar without any explanation of why grammar is like this. They
right,
just said, grammar is like this, memorize it, test is next week. And we just had to memorize it without understanding logically.
right,
And so it was really hard to just memorize different word order, all the phrases, and it's not phonetic.
mhm,
Japanese is phonetic, like
right,
my name,
yeah,
Arai, but English is different. Like, for example, they and think this th
right,
pronunciation is different but same spelling. What is this? Everything was terrible for me to learn just to memorize. So
mm,
through my experience of learning English, I understand that how difficult for English native speakers to learn Japanese, for example.
mhm, right,
So I developed how I should learn English together with, because I studied applied linguistics, how
right,
how children pick up their native language, how adults learn their
mhm,
second language, and how language teachers teach and teaching method. And then
Right.
the modern method is not really useful for Japanese language because this is developed between European languages,
Right.
European
Yeah.
language teachers,
Mm.
those researchers. So when I studied that and tried them, it didn't work with my students
Mm-hmm.
in the classroom. So I developed my teaching method from my English learning and also as an Japanese teacher, plus the knowledge from applied linguistics.
Right. Yeah.
Then, because I studied at UK University, so I did applied linguistics, but also MBA in education management. So I understand the system, education system in the UK, and it was very different.
Mm. Yeah.
You have to think by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not not taught by teachers. Of course,
Right.
they teach lots of information, but not only that, you have to produce, you have to make a presentation about your opinion and everything. So the system was totally different.
Mm.
In Japan, you just absorb information, memorize it, and then you can pass the exam. No
Mm-hmm.
presentation in
Right. Yeah.
general. In general, maybe some places, but not in general. But in the UK, it's always you have to do that every semester.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then lots of writing as
Essays.
well.
Right.
You have
Yes.
to write
Writing.
essay.
You have to write
You
a lot there.
express your
Yeah.
opinions,
Mm.
ideas after learning some information, of course. And
Yeah.
then another thing is that teachers are assessed by students.
Mm-hmm.
I had to write this teacher is blah blah blah. They were nice or this part is not good. And then when I became a teacher, of course they assessed me as well.
Right.
Fortunately, they all ticked amazing or something. That was amazing, but that was nice. And
Right.
but
Mm.
basically, this is not the case in Japan.
Mm.
So this huge difference education system is that in the UK they want to make the education system better for students.
Right.
If teachers cannot teach well, of course they shouldn't be like that. Of course they should improve their teaching method for learning. But in Japan, it's important to show respect to teachers. So they shouldn't assess teachers.
Mm. Right.
And then this is incredibly different. And I was amazed at how, the British system help students.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted to be a better teacher.
Right. Yeah.
And it was really helpful to get feedback from my students. And I wanted to be better and better. And also, there are always teachers who check my teaching regularly, like every semester as well. So, this kind of feedback was really helpful to improve my teaching. And then finally, I developed my own style for English students to learn Japanese.
Right. Yes. Which is very important because I think the struggle is real.
Yes, I really feel, so that's why it's how difficult. And when I think about how difficult learning Japanese for English native speakers,
Mm.
so I always use our mindset
Yeah.
and an English mindset. And because how we think or how we observe or how we express is different, the languages are different. So when
Yes.
I teach how Japanese people perceive the certain situation, event, and how English speakers see the world, and then they express in a different way,
Mm.
and by understanding the difference, people can learners can understand better. For example, Japanese people see the same thing, and how we see is more like emotion. How
Right.
we feel
Yeah.
happy or sad is
Yeah.
important. For
Yes.
English native speakers, what is happening there is more important. What is happening there rather than, oh, I feel sad or happy. So then what we express changes.
Yes. Indeed. Yeah,
Mm.
I like that because I also know that, it's really, in addition to what you just said, of course, we think that Japanese people, because they do not show their feelings through their facial expressions, um, we mistakenly think that they are not so emotional, which is not true. It is just the lack of facial expressions that express emotion comes because they do not want to step over the boundaries, because Japan is a group oriented society, and if you do not control your feelings or the expression of your feelings, you inevitably disturb other people in the group you move in or you live in, right? And that's why that civility, that politeness, that let's say, I'm looking for the right word, but there is a restraint of just showing immediately your feelings, right? But this, should not be mistaken as for people here lacking feelings or being emotional. So I think it's an important thing to say, right?
Of
Because
course. Yes,
yes,
Japanese people feel lots of things.
yes, yes. So, and we need to remember that even if we don't see that the expressions, the facial expressions of those feelings. So, because we are all the same human beings, regardless of where we were born or where we were
Mm.
raised. It's just, the way we communicate our thoughts is different, but that's fine too. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yes, for example, yes, Japanese people don't facially express feeling or instantly just release what they
mm,
feel, but they try to control it. Yeah, because of the group oriented culture, but verbally we so expression include our feelings, so we don't need to change our face, facial
yes,
expression,
yes,
because from what we say exactly, for example, I don't know, um like some what is that, like teshimau is like regrettable
regret.
expression. So something not good you did, and it's all in the sentence, but we
Mhm.
don't really show that feeling through our face, because by listening to this expression you understand it. It's not
Yes,
like not like this,
right.
because
Yes,
by
yes,
saying that people
mm,
understand how I feel,
yes. The
and
words,
we
yes,
can like control our emotion like this, just keep it, like the usual,
yeah,
expression, feeling.
mm,
So to create our harmony, I think
indeed.
the energy is the same, like, just speaking like this, blah blah blah,
Mm, yeah,
but people understand how I feel.
right.
Mm.
I had difficulty actually when I was learning Japanese. I had difficulty just wrapping my head around the expression, for example, なんとかをしたがってる or した、
Mm.
right? Because in my native language, Bulgarian, we have something that conveys a similar meaning, but basically, as a native Bulgarian speaker, I never thought about it as a third party learner, right? And so, as a third party learner, I learned other European languages, Indo European languages. And then in those European languages, Indo European languages, forgive me, I don't remember to have come to anything like shitagaru, right? And so, like shitai or shitagaru. So, what's the difference? But then that's eventually, somehow, I got used to using that. And it's so much easier now. And I think it's the funny thing is that because of learning Japanese and maybe living in Japan and working here for such a long time, I have communicated with my Japanese colleagues. Of course, my family is Japanese too. Even when I speak English or write English nowadays, I tend to use expressions that they convey this meaning. For example, I think he wants to do something, right?
Yes,
Because
I know.
before that I would just say he wants to go somewhere. Now I say I think he wants to, or it seems that he wants to, right? So, but it's also like this is the influence I've got because of learning Japanese and what the language or how the language expresses feelings and impressions of the world around us. So it's really fascinating. And I remember another expression like, for example, in Japan, it's once again how you express your feeling, the feeling of the speaker, for example. You say, nakaremashita, nakareta, right? And it expresses regret. But if it is in a different language, you would say, she cried or he cried, and I was there. I saw it, right? That's the context. But then in Japan, karemashita, and I feel like I feel so sorry. It's regrettable, and then, you know, I suddenly became a part of the reason for that cry.
Exactly. So as I said, so English is like um they just want to describe what's going on here. But
Yes,
in Japanese, we want to express, oh, that's sad, and then we want to share that feeling,
right.
like speaking that feeling. So our expressions are different. English
Yes.
sentence structure, Japanese sentence
Mm,
structures are different. Like this, phrases are different. But the reason is, first of all, like たがっています. So if you want to describe somebody's want to do something like desire, we don't know about their feeling.
right.
But from the look, it looks like
Mm-hmm.
they want to do it from the look. But we
Mm-hmm.
don't know until we really directly ask them, do you want to do it? And if they say yes, 100% sure that this person wants to do it. But from the look, we don't know yet.
Right.
Again, how we create trust building is that what we say should be correct.
Yeah.
So if you say something, maybe, and you lose your trust.
Mm-hmm.
But if you clarify how much degree this is correct,
Mm-hmm.
we always want to make sure maybe about 70% this information, what I'm going to say is correct. 100% this is correct. So depending on the degree of sureness, we change our expressions to
Yeah.
be you know correct what we say to
Mm-hmm.
make sure to gain trust from others.
Yeah. Yes.
That is the reason why we have lots of different expressions that European language don't have. They just say they want to do this, I want to do this, you want to do this, and then it's all want, same expression, no
Yeah.
problem. But
Right.
Japanese people want changes depending on how much you think correct.
Hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So like that. So and then the emotion side. So passive expressions is used because sharing our feeling is important in the group oriented culture, especially our background is normally the same. So Japanese people grew up with Japanese people. We don't need to explain about what's going on because
Mm.
it's always going on today,
Everybody
tomorrow,
knows. Yes.
next
Everybody
year,
knows what's going on.
going
Yeah.
on every day. We don't need to explain that, but maybe the feeling can be different depending on the day.
Mm.
So maybe feeling is more important to be shared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then nakareru, like be cried, is a
Be
strange
cried
expression.
upon. Yeah.
I've never heard English people say that, but
No.
she cried or they cried. But
Mm. Yeah.
but in Japanese, we like to say that.
Yeah.
I was cried.
Yes.
Oh no, it's not good because if something is done by somebody, this expression means that so I am the subject, right?
Right. Yes.
So it becomes passive. I
Yes.
am cried by the baby of whoever. Then, so because I become the subject, it means that I can express my feeling. So the
Yes.
third person, we never know. So we
Hmm.
cannot be 100% sure about their feeling.
Mm.
So たがってます. We don't know, but maybe it looks like.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. And also, I want to make, because many people say that the Japanese people are risk averse, right?
Mhm.
But then it's really funny because it's maybe true, but it's not true either. Because Japanese people live with uncertainty all the time. And those expressions, as you say, in the Japanese language, there are expressions that convey different levels of certainty. As you said, because you don't want to state facts that are untrue. But then the fact that there are expressions in the language that convey different levels of certainty also means that there is a lot of uncertainty from the perspective of every individual. And
Yeah.
uncertainty usually means risk, right?
Yes.
So this is a paradox which I think is important for foreigners who learn the language and who come to Japan and learn the culture as well to understand. Because you may say that the Japanese are risk averse, but that's not entirely true, right? I think that there is more, rather than being risk averse, it's more about wanting really to be correct in what you say and the way you see the world. Right, and of course, wanting to what's that? To follow the established processes, because when you follow the established process, then you do not disturb itself. You do not disturb the group, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and
For example,
it's a very layered topic. It's not just black and white. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
actually, when I was in the UK first arrived, I got used to that, but and then I changed how I expressed all my opinions after all. But when I first came to the UK, and so for example, somebody said, asked me yes or no, because I was thinking about what I'm going to say
Mm,
to make sure what I'm going to say is 100% correct, or 100% people should understand. Maybe 70% I feel this way, 30% I feel maybe not.
mm,
In order to express that, and then my English wasn't good either, so I had to process,
yeah.
and it took some time to express. Maybe, or I was thinking, and then my friend said yes or no immediately, and then I cannot say yes or no now.
Yeah,
Let me think first, like that.
indeed.
Because I don't know yes or no yet. Or maybe 70% yes, but 30% no. And
Mm,
then I wanted to express that because as a Japanese person, explaining how much I feel this, how much I don't feel this correctly is important.
yeah.
And
Mm,
I realize that, for example, English people say yes or no immediately. Later, they might change their opinions, but it's okay.
yeah. Mm,
But
yes.
for me, if I say yes or no, I want to keep it
Mm-hmm.
because this is my opinion. Original opinion should be the same later on as well. So I had to think which first.
Right. Yeah.
That is very different. Different way of communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it was interesting. Now I'm used to it, so I can say yes or no immediately
Right.
because
Yeah.
they want it. Mm.
Yeah.
But in Japanese, for example, when I speak with Japanese people, of course I don't do that because they don't like it.
Mm, of course not. Yeah,
How
that's
can you say yes or no so quickly? Are you thinking? Like
mhm, right. Yeah. No, that's a very important point indeed. In understanding why also in Japan the yes or no answer do not come immediately. Right? Because many business people in Japan struggle because they expect to get clear answers after the first or the second meeting. But no, it's basically impossible to do that because it takes time, right? And once again, it's a very deeply cultural thing. It's not that your Japanese counterparts don't want to answer you. No, they want to give you a good answer that reflects how they feel about the situation and what they can promise, what they cannot, so that they do not mislead you. Yeah.
yes.
So, and yes, Mineko-san, I want to read the comments if you don't mind, because we've got quite a few comments. And then we've got, after Andrew, we've got Ludmila Americo, and she says, thank you for your brilliant point of view. I believe this will help me a lot when I teach the language from now. And she said, sorry, I need to go to work and see you again. And then Ali Gochin or Ali Gokin, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, Ali. So he wrote, 最近卒業しました。日本語と日本の文化を勉強しました。And we've got yes, we've got Ilya Lakin. Ilya, thank you very much for listening again. He writes, as much as I love English, it is indeed a silly language. That's what happens when you borrow Latin alphabet and adapt it to a language that sounds nothing like Latin. Well, I agree with you, but it's more or less the same with quite a few languages. And then we've got Mamiko. She writes, 私は月に開催されている日本語を学ぶ会、勉強を学ぶ会に参加しています。そこでいろいろな方と交流をしています。Sorry, probably, yes, the comment is cut
Actually,
there.
this is the language session I mentioned that I
Yes,
organized. And then
right.
those attendees change their mindset after 1 hour. Yes, she
Yes.
is a regular attendee. Yes.
Right. And Andrew writes, Ali Gokin, それはケーキボーイです。I guess this is a kind of joke, which I don't get. Please forgive me. And then Mamiko writes again, oh no, this is, she writes, いつもありがとうございます。And then Sarasa Uchiyama writes, I think in Japan it's good to have a teacher assessment system like in the UK. And Ali writes, I think the biggest problem I have is that I don't have opportunities to use Japanese too often. Yes, this can be a real problem. And with I think with every language you learn as a non-native language. And Ali, I hope that you get more opportunities to practice Japanese. And
Yes, I
then
think. Yes, please.
Yes. And also, Ali, once again, have you got any advice for overcoming the intermediate plateau? In Japanese, I want to take the JLPT N3, Japan Language Proficiency Test Level 3, soon, but I feel completely stuck. So,
Ah,
do you have any advice for Ali and also
mm.
learners of Japanese like him? Mineko.
Yes. Okay. So it depending on which skills you want to improve. For JLPT N3, it's only about grammar, reading, writing, and listening. So there's no speaking skills. So if you don't have a chance to speak Japanese, you don't need to worry about it for just passing the exam.
Right,
So and then nowadays, thanks to this digital tools, you can expose yourself to lots of Japanese materials. When I was studying English, no, it was so limited. So, and then if I wanted to listen to English in Japan, I had to buy these materials, which were quite expensive.
right, yeah,
English, let's say, newspaper or magazines were expensive too. I bought them. But nowadays, you can just search something online and then read a newspaper or any materials, listening. So just search a JLP, N3 level materials and then just expose yourself when you are eating, walking, and any time. But
right,
also thoroughly, you can just read and then learn expressions too. But in terms of speaking, many foreigners living another country, not in Japan, who are learning Japanese. So for those people, I can recommend the material I created because not
mm,
many people can have online lessons or in-person lessons.
right, yeah,
So self-study materials are more affordable, but also for busy people as well. 24/7, you can just access the material for speaking-based learning. So I created Master Speaking Japanese course, and actually the user from the UK said this teaching material is amazing because she tried many other materials, but she felt stuck
right,
because the teaching method didn't work with her because she studied Italian and other languages and it was easy to learn with the
mm,
same method, but Japanese learning was different. So when she used multi-language app, it didn't
mhm,
work. And
right,
then when she tried my material, I used all my experience of learning English for Japanese people and then my teaching experience and applied linguistics. And then I combined everything together and then I studied in the UK. So she said my teaching method works for her learning method.
right. But where can people find your materials? How can
Um,
they get them? Yes.
so yeah, if you just search Arai Academy and then you can find it, and then
Okay.
it's called Master Speaking Japanese. So if you type Master Speaking Japanese or Arai Academy, and then I think you can find the material easily.
Right. Yeah.
And then I created it because I heard many people are stuck, and then many, especially beginners, uh, just give up learning Japanese.
Yeah. Mm.
Then I really wanted to be helpful for them. Mm. So I
But
hope
thank you
my
for doing.
material will help
Yeah.
many people in the world. Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. And so we have gone a few minutes beyond 9 o'clock
Mm,
when we
mm,
usually say goodbye to everybody and wish
mm,
everybody a great
mm,
remainder of the week. But once again, so please remember. if you're new to Japan, if you have some business trips coming up, this year, later this year, please remember to attend our seminars. There are 2 seminars. Basically, it's the same seminar on 2 different days in March 12th and March 14th. Or if you know somebody who is coming to Japan, please feel free to share the information about the seminars. And you can find also the links for registration on LinkedIn. And if you type Arai Academy, of course, you can find those links on Arai Sensei's account on LinkedIn, on my account on LinkedIn, which is Maya Matsuoka, or Japan Expert Insights account on LinkedIn, and also a couple of other accounts, right? Mineko-san. So you have also a couple of groups there. So I'm sure that you'll find information, but please help us spread the word, because we believe that will be helpful. We want to be helpful to people coming to Japan for work. So yes, we're looking forward to actually continuing the conversation because I believe it's really good for those who want to learn about the country and the language, and also how to do business here. And yeah, Mineko-san, thank you so very much for today. I know that you're so incredibly busy, and because of this, I appreciate you being here even more. So
Thank you very much too. I really appreciate this opportunity to share, cross-cultural learning and then language learning, support like this.
thank you. And then we're looking forward to seeing you with us again at the next occasion. Please follow us, follow this development so that you get more information about the next events. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.